morning. We welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living, North Metro. I'm Reverend Michael Torphy.
I'm Reverend Valerie Torphy.
I'm Sheila Fawson.
I'm Greg Fawson. We're doing the broadcast.
I'm Dr. Ernestine Garcia. I'll be doing the readings.
I'm Jake Fernandez.
I'm Barbara Heinzelman. I'm part of the music.
And I'm Salo Stanley playing percussion.
Would you mind playing?
So I just invite you to close your eyes and take a deep cleansing breath as we recognize that that is the breath of God in, as, and through every fiber of our being. And that breath of God comes when we recognize it and comes when we don't. And it just is constantly breathing our body into that oxygenated self that is how we're supposed to be. And I know that as that breath breathes our body, God is present for every function of our being, for all of our thoughts, for all of the things going on in our body, for everything that we encounter. It is all God. There is no other thing. There's only that one infinite, eternal being creating. And so I recognize that that is my life, that is Michael's life, that is the life of everyone here, that is the life of everyone listening with us right now today and those who listen later. And it is everyone, everywhere, all of the time. And so I bless this day. I bless this time together this morning. And I know that everything that needs to be said is said, and everything that needs to be heard is heard, and that we're all in this essence of the divine together, in the oneness, in the allness, and the isness. So I'm so absolutely grateful to know this truth, to know it for each and every one of us, to know that it is already done in the mind of God, that there's nothing more for me to do but let it go and allow it to be. And together we say,
And so is it. Thank you. Barbara and Salo, you got something good for us?
Yeah, we do, because, it is already done in the mind of God.
That's
and
right.
Also because God is our source.
That's right.
He's our anchor, or God's our anchor. God's our source. It's all good. It's already done. And there's a great song by Karen Drucker. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need.
truth.
That's
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our next piece of business, and we'll get back to you shortly.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
So I want to start with the mission for the Center for Spiritual Living North Metro. Our mission is to create an open, accepting, learning environment that recognizes and embraces diversity, peaceful resolution to conflict in personal and community relationships, and to help make the world a better place.
So, yeah.
And so it is. And so you can like us and check in on Facebook at CSL North Metro and check out our website, cslnorthmetro.org. So there's all kinds of good stuff out there. The affirmations and the prayers for this week and for past weeks are out there. The links that you need to get in it, everything is there. And Reverend Michael's blogs are out there too. You did send me another one, but I didn't get it up yet. So we got something to look forward to, a brand new blog from Reverend Michael. So, and the old ones are really good too. So today's title is what? Anchored in God. And you already heard from our amazing artist, guest artist, inspirational music today, and Barb Bonsello. And today's reading is from Inner Visions, and it's a guide for daily inspiration that Agape. I don't know if they still do it. Do they do it online still?
We do online only
Okay.
now.
Well, this one's an old one, and the reading is from Dr. Michael Beckwith, and so you're going to enjoy it. And I think that's all of me.
All right. Dr. Ernestine. There she is.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Boy, I can hardly wait for service. But I think we're going to start with affirmations. So the affirmations for the week of April 16, 2023, these are written for us with love from Stephen Anthony. And please repeat after me. I am filled with inner love, compassion, and wisdom. My oneness with spirit provides soothing comfort.
My oneness with spirit provides soothing comfort.
The divine presence within lives as every experience I have.
The divine presence within lives as every experience I have.
I am one with God and all that is perfect and beautiful in life.
I'm one with God and all that is perfect and beautiful in life.
In this moment, I embrace all that I have to be grateful for.
In this moment, I embrace all that I have to be grateful for.
The essence of the universe lifts me to my highest and best good.
The essence of the universe lifts me to my highest and best good.
And together we say,
and so it is.
It is. Okay, as Reverend Valerie said, the reading today is from the book Inner Visions, and it's titled Compassion by Michael Bernard Beckwith. There is a common misunderstanding about compassion that causes people to conceive of it as a syrupy sweet way of interacting with the world. Compassion, however, is the understanding of the lack of understanding. It takes a tremendous amount of clarity, strength, and spiritual maturity to practice genuine compassion. Love offered from a place of true compassion is not at all personal. It is a transpersonal, non-dual quality that emanates from the depths of one's being. The spiritually awakened heart practices unconditional compassion, which expresses exactly as it needs to. Tough love at times, soothing, comforting, love at others. But love is always the view, the motive, the practice. there is also a spirituality mature aspect to receiving compassion in one's own heart. Fortunate is that individual who is open, receptive, and whose ego is pliable and spacious enough to receive the gift of genuine compassion. Compassion is everywhere, present if we make ourselves available to it. Because our environment, the fundamental goodness permeating the universe, is constantly giving us feedback. It comes from all sources: friends, teachers, family, lovers, students, children, seeming enemies, even our pets and household plants. Individuals who have become accustomed through early conditioning, through harsh treatment, must work at accepting, loving compassion. Likewise, those who have received primarily a soft type of coddling must open to experience the benefit of strong, directive compassion. Let us all be encouraged. Whether it's under the Bodhi tree or Bodhi tree, in a garden at, and can somebody please help me with the name of this garden, famous garden?
Gethsemane.
At that garden, or at our local Ralph's or King Soopers grocery store. When we are loyal to our aspiration to be a beneficial presence on the planet, everything in creation rushes to our side, providing all the compassionate support we need on our journey to enlightenment. And together we pray. And so it is.
So
It is. Thank you so much, Ernestine.
We feel you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. That was moving.
It was.
Hey, ladies.
Well, we're going to anchor ourselves in this truth. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
That's
So
right.
all we have to do is look within,
That's right.
and there we are. Here's a great song by Amy Grant, Where Do I Go?
Where do I go when I need a shelter? Where do I go when I need a friend? Where do I go when I need some help? And where do I go? I go within again. Ask me this question, I'll tell you no lies. How did I get this far in my life? All is not certain, but I will get by. Listen and I'll tell you why. Where do I go when I need a shelter? Where do I go when I need a friend? Where do I go when I need some help? And where do I go? I go within again. Sure as the winter comes after the fall, sure as true love tears down any wall, Spirit is able to carry it all. God will answer our call. Where do I go when I need a shelter? Where do I go when I need a friend? Where do I go when I need some help? And where do I go? I go within again. Where do I go
Yes, yes, yes. That's the truth, and you sung it well.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to do our thing now, and we'll see you shortly. Anchored in God. I had this quote hanging around. Quotes come in different ways, and sometimes I'll look at the source. I'll investigate the person that wrote it and see what it means. Sometimes I just take the quote and use it in different places. And today's quote is by somebody by the name of Antoinette Tuff. And she says, "We must not allow the cares of our lives dictate how we are going to act. We must allow ourselves to be anchored in God. And if we do, such faith will make us immovable." Now, this is going to make sense a little bit later on. But when you're anchored in God, you are totally in faith. Faith moves you, faith lives through you, and there's nothing that can take that away from you. Your source is always present within. I kind of conjure up a scene when I think of anchor. I think of being on a lake, the anchor's in the water, and maybe you're fishing, maybe you're just there meditating. There's a slight wave that rocks you, and you feel like you're in the presence of God, just totally at ease and comforted. And there's nothing that interferes with that. There's no waiting. There's no waiting for a phone call. There's no things you have to get done. There's no children. There's just you and your divine self. You and the perfection of God, living and having its being as you. When you're anchored in God, you can let everything go and just let everything be. And that is a practice, but it can't be done unless you have that solid anchor in your awareness and your belief in what is, was, and always will be God. God is me, God is you, God is all life. God through the universe in every different sort of form. Just think about that. Sometimes it blows my mind when I see those pictures from what was that thing they sent out in space? That
Oh, James Webb.
yeah, man, those pictures just touch my heart in such a way. It can make you feel small, but it can also make you feel big. It can make you feel small because we're on this little tiny planet floating around in the middle of nowhere, and there's this vastness. And anything that's close to us is light years away, and that just sends me into a divine place. That okay, I'm this little tiny microcosm on this atom that is like we call the Earth, and bigger than that is within this microcosm. That there's a whole universe within me, within you. And it's there to be explored in every single way. Give yourself that chance to explore the goodness that is you. Give yourself that chance to move into a circle of unending good, a circle of divine rapture, a circle of beauty and joy and freedom and power, a divine circle of good. When you're anchored in God, it's easy to accept change because change is constantly happening all around us. All you got to do is look in the mirror and you can see all the changes you've been through and how glorious it is that you've gotten here and you've arrived here and you're still as perfect and beautiful as ever can be. And that's a good thing to embrace. Anchored in God. We're always at choice. We can either be anchored in God or we can be like the seed upon the wind. And the seed upon the wind is to define it. It's listening to the chatter in your brain instead of listening to the still small voice. It's allowing others' opinions rule you, have makes you feel a little bit not confident in yourself. It's like being up a river without a paddle. You're just floating and banging into rocks and doing whatever. Now, when you're anchored in God, you listen from within. You're in a centered place instead of reacting. You're being, and there's nothing that can take that away from you, because you when you're anchored in God, you are the divine power that you were created from. When you're anchored in God, it's easy to follow your guidance because you're a listener, a divine listener. And when the listening is always about the true self, listening to the God self, listening to the answers to your questions, listening to whatever you're seeking. So this individual, and Antoinette Tuff, she lives in Decatur, Georgia. And one day she was helping somebody in a learning academy, and she was by the administration office, and she turns around, and there's this 20-year-old boy with an AK-57 holding it towards her face. And she said she felt like she was screaming out loud, that she was in terror, but her friends later told her that she was as calm as can be. And she went back and looked at the 9/11 tapes because she couldn't believe that she was calm, because she was having a different experience. So she spent this time with this young man, talking to him while on the phone with the police, and reassuring him. And she could tell that his faculties weren't all there. And so I didn't get the details on how she got out of it, but she got out of it, and not out of the 800 students and the 100 employees, not one person was hurt, and not one gun was shot. And so this quote came later, after she wrote a book. What's it called? I'll write down. Prepared for a Purpose. And the quote that came from that book, this is it. And when God calls your number, make sure that your heart is open to receive what direction God gives you. That just blows my mind, because this quote was from years, the first quote was from years prior to this incident, where she says, we must not allow the cares of our lives dictate how we are going to act. We must allow ourselves to be anchored in God. And if we do, such faith will make us immovable. Well, I don't know how much more faith a person can have. And she was certainly immovable, because she stood in the face of this young man with 500 rounds of bullets in the chamber, and she talked him down. She later got an accommodation by President Obama. But it really shows you that when your number is called and you're anchored in God, there's nothing that can destroy you. There's nothing that can hurt, harm, or endanger you. You know the truth. You know who you are. You know why you're here. You know what you are. And that is a grand and glorious thing, to live by the principles that we teach, and to live a life filled with love and joy and freedom, and holding that for everybody else. That is the life anchored in God. And as Reverend Michael Beckwith said, we find our compassion in that place where you're anchored. That's where the compassion comes, and every other quality of God. Because why are we here? We're here to discover, to grow, to expand, and to become that which we were created to be. Valerie?
So Ernest Holmes says, the universe in which we live is pure spirit, ruled by cause and effect. There are physical bodies and physical laws, mental bodies and mental laws, spiritual bodies and spiritual laws, each existing without any contradiction from the other, though the spiritual laws always transcend the lesser laws. So what I take from that, I think sometimes we forget that we're spiritual beings having this human experience. Sometimes the human things kind of overwhelm the spiritual body, I guess, for a little while, where we get tangled up into what's going on physically as opposed to recognizing, wow, this is a thing that's going on, and I'm right here present with it. Just like the story that you gave. I mean, she did not ever forget the spiritual being that she is. She just was just right there, conscious with, this is who I am. And I think sometimes it's easy to get a little bit overwhelmed and to get a little connected with all the things we have to do and all the things going on and the challenges we might be having and the things that might be going on in our families and the things that are going on in the world. And if I spend too much time in front of the TV, I can allow it to really dislodge me and start having opinions about this thing and that thing and what should happen and blah, 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 as opposed to being in that spiritual place where we understand that each one of us is here working through our own things that show up differently for us, that the stuff that we need to work on comes up. And so we get the opportunity to work through it. And if we don't work through it, then it comes back up again. So we attract to ourselves the thing that's like our thought. So when we're thinking about what we don't like and what we don't want and what's going on in the world that's wrong and all the problems that there are, we're attracting that kind of stuff into our lives because that's where our focus is. And that's how this thing works, is we're one with that one spirit and that one mind. And we think our thoughts through that mind. And that mind gives us back what we give it. And so if we're if we're spending our time thinking that everything's wrong, Spirit's going to show us the things that are wrong. And so things that we believe are true because of past experience. And we sometimes continue to create that past experience because we continue to believe it. So it's important that we recognize when we're going down a path like that. And that happens to me when I get really tired or when I get a little overwhelmed. Or, for example, this week I had the experience of allergies for a couple of days. And I have things I do on this day and things I do anyway. So I got off kilter, and then I still got that whole plate of things to do and less time to do them. And so sometimes I let that throw me out of the spirit and into the physical and create more things that I don't want. So I love this quote. Julia Cameron says, "Inspiration is really the simple act of listening and being willing to trust the still small voice." So it's really important, especially when we get kind of in a thing where we start, well, for example, thinking of all the things we don't like, or all the things we have to do, or all the things that are wrong in the world, or all the stuff that's going on the planet, or on and on and on and on. When we focus on that, we get more of that. And so as we begin to focus on the things that we do want, and focus on the things we can do, and focus on our spiritual life and focus on the fact that right where we are, God is all the time. There's never a point when we're separate. There's never a point where it's us by ourselves. Every one of us, all the time, is one with God and one with everyone else. All the time. And everything else. I was rereading the thing that I had read before about, you were talking about the James Webb telescope and all of the wonders that it sees. And what we're finding in the galaxies and the planets and the structure of the universe is that's how our brain is structured as well. So that there are so many places where we can understand we're just a little piece of all of it, but all together, all one piece, not any one of us separate or alone or by ourselves. We're all together, all of it, and all the things going on are all of it.
Mhm.
And it's hard, I think, sometimes in this physical body to think that we're not a separate individual with separate things going on and separate ideas and separate plans. And that is true and isn't. It's true in that that's what we see and that's the experience that we have, and it isn't, because no matter what, we're all one thing. I don't know that I'm making any sense,
Yeah.
but it's one unified field of consciousness. It is one mind. It is one life. And we're each little cogs in it, and little pieces of it, and one with it. So how often do we know what we know without knowing how we know? That happens to me a
All the time.
lot. Yeah, well, that happens to me a lot. There are things that I know in my mind, and then there are just other things that I just know. And I don't know how I know. I don't know how long I've known, or I don't know why I know. But I'm asking each one of us to look at those things and say, do we trust it? When we get that intuition, when we get that knowingness of what we just know without knowing how we know, do we trust it? And it reminds me of a time when I was a bank officer, and the bank that I worked for, Colorado had laws against branch banking for years and years and years and years. So even though the bank I worked for, there were people that owned the same bank, and we did things the same, or that all of the banks, and we did things the same way. We weren't branches, so we didn't have any information from the other bank. When Colorado legalized branch banking, you had all these tiny little banks that just got eaten up by the big banks that had already been branching and were huge. And so all of the little tiny banks became part of big banks. Well, one of the times when this was going on, and then they got sold and sold and sold and sold. One of the times when this was going on, all of the officers had to take psychological tests. And so when I was getting the results of my test, the two people sitting in front of me said, "You have the highest scores in intuition that we have ever seen, and you're not using it." Because I was in a spot where all of the thinking was done on the left side, and I wasn't letting the right side in because I thought all of it was about the left side. But that was such an awakening moment for me to have somebody say that you answered the questions on this test that needed your intuition to answer them right, higher than anybody else has ever done it, and you're not using it. So how many things do we have available to us? How many skills, how many talents, how much intuition, how much of God being us do we have present right where we are that we're not using? How much more could I be, could we be, could we all be if we were listening to the divine voice all of the time instead of some of the time or a piece of the time, or, oh, well, I need to put you aside because I have this thing I really need to get done now. Well, how much better could I do it if I wasn't trying to do it on the left side of my brain all by itself without taking all of the input in, all of the data available to me, all of the knowledge available to me, all of the intuition available to me? How much more could I do? How much more could each one of us do if we began to recognize the powerful beings that we are, the wonders that we are, the amazing gifts that each one of us has? And we all have different ones. You know, it's a wonderful thing. We're all different and we're all one. It's so big. It's just like, I get it and I don't. You know, it's like there's part of me that's probably that beside the brain I don't use that gets it, that it's just so big to understand. So we live in a spiritual universe. This is Ernest Holmes. We are here to recognize who we are, who everyone and everything is, to hold and practice the belief. Perfect God, perfect human, perfect being. Perfect God, perfect human, perfect being. Each one of us, all of us, is that all the time. In our moments of awareness, in our moments of unawareness, in watching what's going on in the world and sometimes getting attached to it in ways that don't serve me. And we all know that our consciousness changes things. We know that if we can stay in that place of knowing that we're one with God, that we're one with each other, that we're one with all that is, and absolutely nothing that happens on this planet can hurt, harm, or endanger us in any way. And we don't know all the different stories everybody else is playing out to work through the things that they came here to work through. We don't know that. And so as I find myself needing to make this thing right and this thing wrong and judge, I get to step into the bigger picture of, we all came here to learn something. We all came here to experience something. And we all came here to recognize the truth of our beings, our oneness with God, our oneness with each other, and that absolutely, regardless of what we might be thinking and what it might look like to us as we look outside, there is no separation. There is only one all of the time, and it's eternal. And we're eternal. And we also have eternity to get it right. How exciting is that? So it doesn't all happen just in this one body on this one plane. It happens forever, all of the time. We just continue expanding and growing. Do you have anything you want to add?
So remember that no matter what you're going through, no matter what's happening in your life, you can anchor yourself in God. And that's simply by saying, God is, I am. And you repeat it as many times as you can. You can close your eyes and say it. I don't care if you're in the middle of Grand Central Station or in a busy office. You just close your eyes and say that. Because in that moment, you're anchoring yourself in God. And you'll be surprised when you're confronted with something like this internet tough was confronted with, that you can make it. While you were talking, I thought of an incident that happened to me that was similar to happen to her, not as big, but I was walking my dog and I hear the screaming, and my instinct is go see what it is. So I ran to where the screamer was, and a young man, I was in my 30s, he was in his probably 19, 18, 20. We run over there, and what happened? There was a guy in my she had a little cottage in my cottage, and he ran and he knocked me on my butt, and he wanted to take the TV. The TV was outside her door, and he was getting more stuff to put there because there was probably going to be a pickup. But we come upon him, and he takes off. I hand her my dog's chain, and I take off. And we're running at this guy, and we're not going to let him go. We're not going to let him go because it wouldn't be right. And none of us are thinking about what's going to happen to us. So at one point, he stops, and he pulls out a knife, and he holds it in front of us. And I pick up, in Westwood, they have these free newspapers, and they're really thick. They're about like that. So I pick up a couple of them, and I hand it to the young guy, and we got these paper rolled up, and he's got a knife. And he didn't want to hurt us. He just thought he would scare us, but we weren't moving. So he takes off again. And in the meantime, there's a helicopter flying over, and we get to this place where he jumps over a driveway gate, and it's not see-through. So I knew that was the end of the road. And the young guy's like, let's go over and get him. And it's like, no, I don't think we want to go over blindly and fall on a knife. But anyway, he was caught, and I can think of so many stories like that just by always having faith that I don't have to think about God. I just know that I'm always safe. Even if it would have ended my life at that time, I would have felt like God is good. And I invite you to not be afraid, whatever you're going through. Have the courage to step into it. Know that God is, I am. And just let it move you. Let it guide you. Let it take you on your glorious journey. Start anew right in this moment. You can start anew. Would you like to pray?
So I just once again invite you to just take that deep cleansing breath, to recognize our oneness with the one power, the one presence, the one life, the one divine intelligence that has created all that is, all that has ever been and continues to create, is eternal, is absolute divine love all of the time. And as I recognize that this is the truth of my being, my oneness with that divine light and that divine love and that divine spirit is the truth for each and every one of us. That there is no separation. There is one life, one power, one truth. And that each one of us lives that same one life together. And so I know for each and all of us, love and peace and truth and harmony and joy and abundance and wisdom and clarity and kindness and awakening and perfect health and joy. And as I know this for each one of us, I know that we're all surrounded in that divine love and that divine truth all of the time. And as I accept that love pouring in, I can feel it also pouring out. And that as we begin to be that power and that presence and that life, and that love pours in and pours out, we do make a difference in the world. We make a difference in our lives. We make a difference in our families. We make the difference in our neighborhoods. We make the difference on the planet. And I'm so grateful. Grateful for this teaching, grateful for this time together, grateful to know the truth of each of our beings. And in absolute gratitude, I release this word, knowing it is absolutely, totally already done in the mind of God.
Yes.
I let it go, I let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Amen, Aho, Amin, Ashe. And let's do woohoo together too. Woohoo!
God is so good. God is is so good. God is so good. God's so good to me. God blesses me. God blesses me. God blesses me. God's so good to me. God is my faith. God is my faith. God is my faith. God's so good to me. God is my strength. God is my strength. God is my strength. God's so good to me. God is my guide. God is my guide. God is my guide. God's so good to me. God is my peace. God is my peace. God is my peace. God's so good to me. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. God's so good to me.
Yay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. God is good all the
That's right.
That's right. Okay, we'll see you in a bit.
Sounds good.
So there's a truth that floats around our teaching, and that is you cannot outgive the giver. In other words, giving is the way to get. The more you give, the more you get, and you can never outgive the giver. Mm-hmm. And it's a good principle to know, and it's a good way to give to a place that feeds you, to a place that you relate to a place that loves God as much as you do. And we think we're that place, so we're open for your gifts this day. And
So go to our website, cslnorthmetro.org. And about midway down the front page, there's a couple of ways to give out there. So I invite you to do that. If you're a Venmo user, you can use the QR code that's right there on our screen and give to us that way. And so cslnorthmetro.org.
shine your energy towards your screen, knowing that it fulfills its journey towards us. And repeat after me. Thank you, dear Spirit.
Thank you, dear Spirit.
Thank you for this opportunity to give.
Thank you for this opportunity to give.
I give with an open heart.
I give with an open heart.
No expectations.
No expectations.
But pure joy.
But pure joy.
Knowing this is so.
Knowing this is so.
I let go and I allow it to be.
I let go and allow it to be.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Namaste.
Namaste.
You ready for Barbara?
One more song. Yeah.
One more song
All
because
right.
Yes. Salo went to an art show, but I am here. And, when God is, you just realize that God presence inside of you, you have no choice but to sing your own song and make your own music. So here's a great song. I think Cass Elliot sang it years ago. It was so beautiful.
Nobody can tell you there's only one song worth singing. They may try and sell ya, 'cause it hangs them up to see someone like you. You gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. You're gonna be knowing the loneliest kind of lonely. It may be rough going, but to do your thing, the hardest thing to do. But you gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. If you cannot take my hand, if you must be going, I will understand. You gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along. You gotta make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along.
Well, you weren't singing by yourself. They sing,
I think I heard
all
you.
of us out here were singing.
That's right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do remember that. And that's a well, all of your music is beautiful, and it's especially meaningful. You just seem to just bring that spiritual energy right into the room with you too. So we just
thank
appreciate
you.
that so much.
Yes.
And beautiful talk today. It's just, I was listening to an old CD from a center we used to go to, and got to hear a lovely lady that I haven't heard in a long time because she has passed over. And she was also talking about change and changing in God, and following the footsteps of God, and just knowing that internal voice to know the next step and know the next step and not be afraid of changing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And not be afraid to waiting,
Yes.
because that's an important part of the whole journey. Some people want to rush things and try to make them happen.
Yeah.
Away.
I know somebody like that. Sometimes, not always. But thank goodness. Yeah. So anybody have anything they want to share?
I do. I just want to thank you and let each one of you know how grateful I am for your loving compassion. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do. And
Yeah,
appreciate everybody here.
I just really like the reminders to get out of your head sometimes and just trust.
Mhm.
It's sometimes it's really hard to have that other stuff going wrong.
Yeah.
And I think
Good reminder.
especially for somebody like me who does finances all the time, I'm dealing with numbers like all the time. And to remember there's more than that. And sometimes they don't have to make sense. Sometimes the spiritual truth is different than what you're seeing. If that makes any sense. It doesn't, but it does.
Yes.
So we would love to have you join us for Zoom afterward. And if you do, we'll see you. And if not, have a really, really good week. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yes. So if you would close your eyes and we'll do a benediction. Absolutely convinced, without a doubt, that the power and presence of God is right here, right now,
Yes.
as each and every one of us,
Yes.
by ourselves and together. There's never any separation. And so knowing that this day is the divine idea of God, and it's already manifesting in our lives, all the good, all the peace, all the harmony, all the joy, all the freedom, all the clarity, all the inspiration and intuition that we need to move from one moment to the next. And each one of us brings a special blessing to this planet. I recognize it in you and in me, knowing that that is the truth of our being, that we can be the change we want to see in the world. We declare it, we say it is so, by giving thanks and letting it be. And together we say, and so it
So it
is.
is. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.